Some people are in it for the splatter, the blood, the guts, the gore. I've been floating this idea for a while but haven't found any investors yet. A horror theme park with a bloody splash zone. It would be like SeaWorld, but without the animal cruelty. That's what brings the big crowds, right? Promise of lifeblood flowing forth from terrible wounds? Well, that's what a lot of folks boil horror down to anyways. Some flicks can get away with being bloodless and still manage to pack in a confounding amount of scares. Others have lots of blood, but it's monster blood, green, blue, purple, but never red. And then there are the movies that made this list. So full of blood, they're practically alive. Hello, horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're gonna take a look at the top 5 bloodiest horror movies. Now, if you're looking for more horror movies to watch, make sure you head on over to our top 5 scary movies playlist for more recommendations and ridiculousness. And if you want to get a good scream going, check out the new channel Top 10 Central Dark, where Joss and Lucy will be reacting to some scary, scary stuff. Outstanding. Let's get started. Coming in at number 5, we've got The Evil Dead 2013. The original Evil Dead changed the horror game and the indie game and was plenty bloody. But when Fede Alvarez put out his take on the cult classic in 2013, people knew a new champion of blood was here. And just in case anyone's worried, I don't think the new Evil Dead unseats the original. It's just way bloodier. Retreading a similar story, the 2013 remake hits a lot of the same notes. However, the scrappy indie charm is mostly absent. Thankfully, Alvarez makes this movie his own, resulting in a tight and polished backwoods bloodfest. There are bloody girls wandering the woods, hammer murders, and electric knife amputations. It's a wicked fun horror movie, and the best and bloodiest has yet to come. See, after a flick full of demonic possessions and murder, it appears as though things are going to get better. Siblings David and Mia are the only ones left alive, and the demon is toying with them. Mia is literally buried alive to deal with the demon inside of her, but David decides he can't let that happen. He digs her up and tries to revive her, resulting in the demon hopping into another one of their friends' corpses. Another bloody attack ensues, and eventually a gas can is shot. Boom goes the can, and David burns, and this is where the real blood starts. Blood rains down from the sky in an intense downpour, coating everything and anything. A demon rises from the earth to collect Mia's soul and ends up throwing a car at her. This traps her hand beneath the car, but no worries, she just rips it off. She then slices the abomination in twain with a chainsaw. Horror movies are always extra fun when you add a chainsaw. Coming in at number 4, we've got Terrifier. Man, if you want a movie that's bloody and pretty much nothing else, look to Terrifier. There is so much going on in this movie, and none of it is plot or character development. It's an incredible feat to make a movie like that, but it happened. And it'll happen again when Terrifier 2 takes over. Art the Clown exists to make a bloody mess, and that's about it. And he does a damn good job of it too. After taunting some girls in a pizza place and really destroying the bathroom, Art takes it upon himself to murder a whole bunch of people. He slashes the girls' tires, heads back to the pizza joint, and slashes some throats. Then he takes up residence in an abandoned apartment building. The kills that result are just nasty. There's one where Art takes a chainsaw to a naked woman hanging upside down by her ankles. I'll give you one guess as to where he starts his cut. Yeah, that's a lot of blood. Then he shoots a woman to death and cuts the scalp off the only person to show him any affection. And he cuts off her breasts too. What else does Art do in this ridiculous slasher? Well, he takes a hammer to a man's skull, decapitates another dude, smashes through a door with a truck, eats a woman's face, and shoots himself in the head. And it doesn't end there. Oh no, there's gotta be a sequel. Plus the creeping dread that this monochrome mime is still out there waiting to eat your face. Oh, and there's the whole eye gouging scene to kick off the flick too. Although that's not really Art's doing. All he did was disfigure a woman and scar her for life. Coming in at number 3, we've got Cannibal Holocaust. This film has a reputation that precedes it. It's an early example of found footage horror, and at the time folks found it so realistic that the director was held in custody until he could prove that he didn't actually kill anyone during the making of the movie. That's right, it was so bloody people thought it was a legitimate snuff film. I mean, at least it lives up to the title. So yeah, there's a lot of controversy around this movie. Obscenity charges, video nasty lists, and bans on watching it in all sorts of countries. Some that hold up today. It earned all this too. It's a wild, wild movie. Cannibalism, staged massacres, realistic sexual violation, beheadings, spear wounds, leg amputations, and more. Lots of blood. But some of the more controversial kills were more realistic than one would have imagined. No humans actually died during the filming of this movie, but real animals did. They spilled the blood of 7 during the course of filming. The animals included a coati, a turtle, a tarantula, a boa constrictor, 2 monkeys, and a pig. So in addition to the copious amounts of fake blood, some real blood was there as well. Lots of folks took great issue with this, stirring up all sorts of arguments among filmmakers and film goers. Cannibal Holocaust has a reputation like no other flick out there. Coming in at number 2, we've got Piranha 3D. Back to some more lighthearted fare, here's a movie that required the use of a gas tanker to pump enough fake blood into the scene. 75,000 gallons to be precise. Ooh, that's a lot of blood. It seems as though B-movies do blood the best, although that might just be personal experience talking. And when it comes to B-movies, Piranha 3D is one of the best of the decade. An earthquake reveals an ancient lake beneath another lake. This hidden body of water is full to the brim with killer piranhas, able to tear their prey to bits in seconds. Thus begins a life and death struggle between the people of a small tourist town and some killer fish. Blood is most definitely in the water. At first, there are a few isolated kills. Fishermen and cliff divers fall victim to the toothy terrors. This provides a good deal of blood, but not enough. For the number 2 spot on our list, we need a massacre, and a massacre we get. After refusing to close down the lake during spring break, the piranhas really make the police department regret their decision. Pretty much everyone having a blast in the lake is chewed to pieces, resulting in one of the craziest bloodbaths of all time. Like, a majority of the cast and extras die in this scene. The lake essentially turns into a people blender, and you don't want a sip of this smoothie. Go big or go home, I guess. Everything that happens after this scene seems tame in comparison, which is both a bit of a bummer and a testament to just how big and bloody that massacre was. Then we catch a glimpse of a man-sized piranha. Imagine that scene. And finally at number 1, we've got Dead Alive. Or Brain Dead, your choice. Man, this movie's incredible. Pre-Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson just pushing his technical prowess to the absolute edge. From stop-motion zombie monkeys to satanic babies to a giant motherly monster with a hungry womb, this movie is non-stop special effects insanity. Technically, Piranha 3D is bloodier with 75,000 gallons to Dead Alive's 1,000, but I think Dead Alive makes the blood go further, especially since it doesn't take place in a lake. Every time you think this movie has hit its peak, it tops itself. Hidden familial basement zombies progresses into the unearthing of an undead mother, which turns into a romp in the park with a deadly infant, which becomes a big house party where everyone devolves into flesh-hungry monsters. Of course, the bloodiest bit has to be the lawnmower sequence. There's only one way to mow down that many zombies at once, am I right? Then there's the climactic showdown with a disgusting and bloated mega zombie mom who produces a fair bit of blood and fluids herself. I can't imagine a more splattery splatter movie, and I doubt anyone will come up with anything to top it off. I can't imagine a more splattery splatter movie, and I doubt anyone will come up with anything to top it anytime soon. Although I wouldn't be mad if someone did. That's a challenge, up-and-coming directors. So does anyone fancy a swim? I feel like all this blood pooled around my ankles has to be put to good use somehow. Not every horror movie needs to be excessively bloody, but it often helps. So what'd you think of the list? Did I quench your thirst for blood, or do you have some alternative options that wash mine away? What's the bloodiest movie you've ever seen? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more hopeful ones from the top 5 weirdest horror movie monsters. Elizabeth Ninemeyer says, my mother told me when she was a kid she was so scared of the killer tomatoes she had a hard time sleeping. I don't see anything scary about them even as a kid. Different times, I suppose, although taking something mundane and even silly and turning it into a monster can tap into some weird parts of people's psyches. Mikey LaFave says, actually sounded like they put some thought into the deathbed movie. Oh, for sure, it was low budget and kind of goofy, but you can see that they had an idea and they saw it through. Ben Trimble says, crazy idea, instead of running from supersized rabbits, turn them into stew. Well, good luck taking one down yourself. I doubt any hunting snares would take these guys. The Plains Warrior says, you have a killer condom, but not the movie Teeth, 2008. Teeth is incredible, but I have a hard time seeing it as a monster movie. It's more of a minor mutation with a side of irony and metaphor. Celeste GR says, cold tomato soup? You should try gazpacho, my friend. Oh, I have, but it was room temperature and I burned my lips. Couldn't even look at it after that. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I comically stroll through an active construction site, narrowly avoiding doom through sheer ignorance, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more red liquid. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.